Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unleashed. Today we got from Denver, Colorado is Pup Cupid. There on the right, and we have Pup Prometheus on the left. How are you both doing today?
Doing really good. Yeah, it's a really good day. It's a good Saturday.
What's the weather like in Denver today?
Rainy. Rain. Yeah, we've been getting fog and rain for about a week and a half now.
Oh wow. Well, I won't tell you it's super hot here in Orlando and stuff, but
Oh, I bet.
we've had some rain, but it's pretty hot.
No, yeah, we're definitely in our spring, just monsoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's
I have to ask you both about. I kind of throw these questions all together: name, hood colors, how long you been a pup, that kind of stuff. So who wants to go first? Pup Cupid or Pup Prometheus?
I guess I've been voluntold here. Uh,
Okay.
so I've been a pup for about 4 years now, and really I've been a pup all my life. I just didn't really have a name for it or know what to call it. It wasn't really until I met this one that I actually had an identity for sort of what I was already doing. Um, as for the colors of my hood and my name, I'm a double fire sign. Um, my partner here is Cupid, so continuing with the Greek pantheon, I'm Prometheus, the titan that stole fire from the gods twice. Um, and then not only are the colors, similar colors of fire, but also flagging. I tend to flag orange on the left and red on either side, depending on the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Pup Cupid. I have been a pup for 11-ish years. So I got into being a pupper from I was a boy. I was traditionally trained when I was like 17, 18. Fell out of that, moved here, found puppy play, and it was what I was missing. So I've been a pup since yeah, for about 11 years now.
Okay.
Um, Cupid wasn't the first name that I picked, but it was the name gifted to me. I got so this is I love this because it's a funny story. But I got my puppy name because at the time I was drinking, 6 years sober now. At the time I was drinking, and I had the habit of wandering off to the dark room, to the darkest corner of the room, at bars and events and such. So because I was always found where the love was happening, they called me Cupid. And it's just charming. It's really something out of love for me, and it fit the identity. So I kept it. As for the colors, pink and white. Um, Pink is for toys, white is for something. I'll admit I forget the moment, but definitely flagging. But it was more of a commitment to the Cupid character, to that identity. It's like I said, this was completion of self. This was the missing link for that I needed to know who I was as a person, as a pupper. So this just kind of has been the best reflection of Cupid that I have come up with at the moment.
Okay. And that's good. By the way, I love both of your all's hoods. The colors are just amazing. So
Thank you.
so what has been the easiest and then what has been the most difficult part of being a pup in the pup community?
The most difficult for me, and it's not necessarily being in the pup community. It's I'm always a pup all the time, and there will be times like I work in a very professional environment in the not pup sector of my life, and there will
Uh-huh.
be times where something will go well at work, and I'll wag, and then I'll catch myself and like look to see if anybody saw me, or like the pup comes out whether I want it to or not. And so it's really a challenge trying to deal with people that aren't ready to know those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But it's a fun challenge. There's one or two people at work that sort of have an idea they don't know, and they get a chuckle out of it when they see it happen. as far as the easiest thing, for me, it's socializing. I love going to the pup events, being able to meet new pups, meet pups that have been here forever, just socializing, just pupping out with people. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. The hardest thing about being a pupper. Honestly, I think the hardest thing about being a pupper is, and it's a challenging.
And that's okay if you don't have this could be easy for you all around. It doesn't necessarily have to be hard.
Well, the thing is, for especially in my case, it's mainly just because I've been a pup for so long. But like, but keeping the headspace, keeping letting puppydom stay unpolluted from the whole rest of the bullshit of my life. This is supposed to be escapism. This is supposed to be pleasure. This is supposed to be empowering. So the hardest part is making sure that I am always enjoying it and not letting the clouds of my life
Okay.
damper. But other than that, the easiest part is, I think, interacting with people. It's very, very easy to just, being a pupper affords me the privilege of just being able to go up to any random person, whether they know what I am or not, and be like, "Oh, Ruff, who are you?" Because I'm Cupid. Who are you? And able to capture that I'm a friend and everybody until you give me reason not to be. But that's true to being a pupper.
That's it. You're right. So if either of you all could change one thing about the pup community, what do you think you would want to change?
Pick one. You can only pick one.
Community is the reason I'm a pupper. It's everything. It's the thing I value most in all of being a pupper. It's the thing. The Denver community out here is been so very, very important to me. But as I've interacted with our pup community, the pup communities around the world, Chicago, Orlando, hitting some of the hot spots and some of the not so hot spots. It's honestly, I just the one thing I think I would change is everyone is the self-awareness that we are all the same thing.
Yes.
Regardless of what we look like, how we present, whatever, we are all the same thing. And at the end of the day, the only other person who understands you is the same thing, or the other pups around you. So that I just want people to be more aware of that idea, that we are all the same thing in just in our own way, and that should win out over all the rest of it at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's more how are you, how is your pack, how are you as a pup contributing and building the community around us? I would like to see less cliques, less divisions, and more, yes, this is my pack, but here's how we're helping this pack or this pup get through that, and sort of building that community together instead of sort of claiming our own pieces of land here and there.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And now you mentioned a pack. Do you guys belong to a pack there in Denver?
We're kind of a pack of two. Sort of what we do is a lot of, as new pups come in or wayward pups, it's sort of the round of introductions. A lot of the pups in Denver know who we are. We've interacted with people because we are the type like, hi, I don't know you. You're a pup I haven't seen before. It's good to meet you. And it's sort of it helps people get that start into the community, to have a friend that they can sort of build off of and explore with. Because I get a lot of questions of pups like, hey, I'm a pup and I need a sir, a handler. I'm looking for an alpha, and I'm like, okay, well, let's not dive into things yet. Like, if you know who you are as a pup, great, awesome. That's a fantastic foundation. If you don't, give yourself that time to learn that. Figure that out. Don't jump into things too fast, because that's how you're gonna eventually end up in over your head. And sort of being that voice of reason to a lot of the newer pups in the community has been more our focus.
And especially a lot of us pups who come from the very traditional background of leather families. I think mine just died. I think my headset just died. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's that, especially from us that come from that foundation of leather families, it's really hard to fill that identity, that part of identity with a community, or just to kind of leave it empty, to leave it undefined. But all of those very traditional ideas teach you one thing, and that one thing is, who are you and what are you consenting to? And
Mm-hmm.
that core value is what we keep trying to teach people, because a pack, a family is an investment. It's a relationship. It may not be a romantic relationship, but it is a relationship. It's going to take a lot of who you are as a, however you identify, to maintain and enrich and be a part of that kind of thing. There's one out there for you, but you have to know who you are and what you're willing to compromise for before you can negotiate to be in a part of a pack, a sir, a handler, a slave, etc.
Yeah. Well, you two, do you all have any hobbies that you do there in Denver?
As you could probably see behind us, we are gamers. We do a
That was
lot
a
of the, like, everyone come over and play Smash Brothers kind of things. We are trying to connect with people over very nerdy hobbies and habits.
I mean, on the opposite side of that as well, we like to go camping. We like to go hiking. I'm a huge snowboarder. I'm trying to get him into it this upcoming snowboarding season because he's never been before. And so there's a lot of that's part of why I love Colorado is there's literally anything you want to do, Colorado has it. It's what I fell in love with Colorado for when I was here in the army. Um, and so yeah, I like to go snowboarding. I like to go hiking. I like to go camping just as much as I love sitting here and playing video games and leading activities in World of Warcraft. Like all of it. I love all of it.
so it's funny the one I did this morning with Pup Nodens, he snowboards too. And I asked him, and I'm going to ask you too, have you ever gone snowboarding in your puppy mask?
I haven't. My hood is so there was a period of time I hadn't gone snowboarding for a while because I was back in school, freshly out of the military, and it was just not a place where I was able to sort of afford a trip out here because I was
Sure.
going to school in New York. Um, and after snowboarding here in Colorado, snowboarding on the East Coast where I'm from is it's not the same. It's those are hills compared to here in Colorado. I hate to say it, like it's a great community. Don't get me wrong, but this spoils you here.
I will. Well, Pup Cupid, you got to learn to snowboard now. So
Yep.
Eventually, I've got to.
I've only snowmobiled. I've never been snowboarding, but it looks like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I had a blast. But day one's a little rough the first time you try it out, but we'll get through it.
So what about pets? Do you guys have any pets?
We do. We have a dog. Uh, he is a German Shepherd Rottweiler mix, and
Oh,
he is
wow.
a year and 4 months.
And husky. He's
A little bit of
12%.
husky.
He's 12% husky, 2% Malamute. And literally the first like couple of weeks we had him, he was way too vocal to be anything but husky in there. He talks like a husky. He converses like doesn't look like one, but he is loud.
Wow. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I find most of us have all have pets. I have 3 cats. So
It's good to have the source material, honestly. It's good to have that energy around you to remind you that at the end of the day, being human, you're still an animal, and
oh
that's
yeah,
like the best part of that.
yep, yep. So you both, some of us identify as certain parts of the pup group. So I always ask, and I find sometimes we're a mix of all, sometimes just one, sometimes none. So when you think of beta, omega, and alpha, do you guys identify as either of those?
Um, so personally, no, I don't use the title for myself. It's just I just haven't had a need for it. However, through the community, through things that I have done, a lot of people see me as alpha. They gave
Uh-huh.
me that title simply because I take care of people, I introduce people. I am Whether you want me to be or not, I am looking out for you. I am making sure that someone is checking up on you. That I have heard something about you that I know, because so many of us struggle with so many things. Cupid is looking to make sure that you get through to the next day. And so I got Alpha, and I played with the title for a long time. I wore it, for the honorific that it was, but especially when I stopped drinking and officially took Cupid full throttle into my future with me, I decided that there's just a little too much surrounding the title for
Right.
for how I was identifying and the way that I wanted to go with my life. So I just personally don't use it.
Okay.
Yeah, but for the people who see me in that role, I accept it for the honor that it is.
Okay.
Conversely, I don't use the title in like in social media or anything, but I do consider myself an alpha. I have two pups here in Denver, one of them being Cupid here, the other one who is I believe he's on a trip at the moment. Um, but I don't. It's very similar. It's one of those things like as people feel comfortable calling me that, I accept it. Like this is how that person sees me, and that is it helps me sort of feel more I don't know, more responsible for making sure they're taken care of, making sure they're taking care of themselves, not just me taking care of them, making sure that they have the best opportunity that they can to succeed in the community, to succeed in life, to have a person that they can come to for advice, a person that they come to just vent. It's really important for me, at least, to be the person that's there for people. And when someone comes to me and is like, "Hey, this is how I regard you," I take great pride in that.
Okay. All right. Well, if you had someone that was wanting to get into the pup community, what kind of advice would either one of you all give them?
My best advice for any person is my philosophy is being a pupper is a reflection of you, and it is that message that when people look at you, it is what you want it to be, and that changes as we change. So whatever your first hood is, whatever your first color is, whatever your first name is, it doesn't have to be your only. You're not stuck being a older or a unpolished or whatever you consider to be version of yourself. This could change every day. This could change never again. And that's okay. You're never stuck being one type of pup. You're
Yeah.
never stuck being one kind of animal or breed. If that's part of your identity, it doesn't have to alter your persona if it doesn't bleed into that. It doesn't have to be the same gender that you identify outside of the hood. Like, let it be just as alive as you are. Let it
Mm.
change the way that you change because it's supposed to reflect you and what you want the world to see from you.
Okay, good.
That's why, honestly, my best advice to pups is just let it evolve, let you evolve.
Okay.
Sort of actually to go along with that, the one thing that I tell anyone that's interested in the pup community or starting to convert over, or even just around, is you do not need a pup hood, you don't need a tail, you don't need any piece of gear, you don't need a pack, you don't need an alpha, you don't need anything to get started in the pup community. Just being interested is enough to get you down the path. You are not any less valid because you don't have a custom hood that's been tailored to exactly what you want. You're not less of a pup for any of those reasons. Just find out what it works best for you and build off that. Like he said, it doesn't have to be one thing. And you being a pup is not your gear. Your gear is not pupdom. You are a pup.
I got you. I totally agree with both of you all. So now we're down to the point of a question that you might want to ask the next pup that I have as a guest on this podcast. Do you have a question you would like to ask them?
My biggest question is what are you doing for your community? What are you doing to help build the pup community in your area?
Okay. All right. That's a good one. Uh, so the question for you both came from Pup Nodens out of Denver, Colorado as well. And he wanted to know, what advice would you give a pup who is finding it hard to find their place in the pup community?
That's a question with many facets because it's going to come down to what's the reason why, what is preventing them. Is it the space that they're in that's making them uncomfortable at being themselves as a pup? Is it the people around them? Is it the fear of judgment? Is it it's very commonly when a lot of people become pups for the first time. I know I did it. Am I going to look stupid howling in front of other people or having puppy mannerisms? It comes down to what's looking inside and figuring out what it is that is holding you back. What about your environment is making you uncomfortable, making it feel
Mm-hmm.
like you can't be your puppy self? And then sort of once you start to figure out and realize what that is, addressing that and changing that so that you can create your own environment where you're comfortable being yourself.
The, it comes down to remembering that for the puppy play community, it is still a LGBT plus community, meaning that this is full of people with very colorful, very, very interesting, very dark, and sometimes tragic paths in life. And the way that we interact with our world is again that idea of reflection of self is really tied to what has happened to us as people,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that manifests as body image issue or gender identity issue or simply too young, too old, I don't drink. A lot of pups are very sober for one reason or another. I'm a recovered alcoholic. So going to a bar and being around alcohol willingly, consentingly, that's a lot of people can't do that. So how do I be a part of something that is so very that has a reason to push me out? In it's and I don't know, it goes back to that idea of who who are you and what are you willing to accept, because a lot of people, the reason they're not where they want to be is because they're just too afraid to go to another bar. Something as simple as go to another bar. Something as simple as reach just past what they think, because a lot of people, the issues that we have are more perceived than real.
Mm-hmm.
So can you look at yourself in the mirror and go, honestly, why am I unhappy? You have to know, because that's the only way you can find a solution. That's the only way you can be like, oh, you know what? I just need a change of scenery. I just need a new kind of person around me. I'm feeling more feminine in my appearance, so I need to be around more feminine people, drag queens, people who can feed that energy for myself. It's finding that truth and chasing it.
Yeah. Well, and I know one thing came about, someone was talking about it, is that I know down here in Orlando, most of the pup events happen in bars.
Mhm.
And sometimes that keeps other pups from wanting to be there because that is not their scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And so,
there's a pretty big part of the pup community that's been asking for events that aren't at bars. They want to do something with the community in their environment, and
yes.
unfortunately, a lot of the people that are hosting the pup events don't want to do that. They don't. They want to bring communities to bars and have sort of bar takeovers. They don't want to do something that's not dancing and drinking and having that kind of a party. And so it's really ostracizing a good chunk of the community that just really doesn't want to be there, but they feel forced to be there.
And the
Yeah,
problem,
I
and the
agree.
problem with reaching outside of bars for events is events take venues and money. You have to have a place to put on any kind of event, especially for more than 20 people. You have to have a venue, and
Yeah.
you have to be able to entertain those people. Especially a lot of us pups are very shy, awkward kind of people. So you can't just throw all of us into a room and expect us to interact. And, bars provide alcohol, they provide sex, they provide all of these avenues to interact with people, an excuse to get past the social awkwardness of all of us being in a pup hood in a room together.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, knowing that you need a venue and the money. It's looking at, like, especially in Denver, bar owners have that, because a lot of these guys have been in this community for a very long time. This isn't the only business that they own. This is the capital that they have spent over the last 15, 30 years. Not everyone just wakes up, wins the lottery, has $1 million to put on a event to do, and no establishment is going to give up a weekend of profit. They just can't. Especially between liquor sales and ticket sales and performers and etc. Those draws, there's a reason for that. So, knowing it's having the awareness to look at the system and go, it's broken. Like, unfortunately, we just aren't able to wrest the means to do 18, 19, 20-year-old events for those people who aren't drinking, who aren't fucking, who aren't who aren't performing, who aren't following those traditionally LGBTQA avenues. Bars have always been our sacred, safe places since the 60s. So that habit has not changed for the LGBT and all of our associates forever.
Yeah.
So now it's we're seeing the invention of the churning of something new, of a need now formed that someone just hasn't figured out. Conventions are forming, IML,
Right.
cons, anime cons, many pup cons. We've just got at the International Pup and Handler contest back. And these are also, but again, the expense of traveling, whether you want to fly, whether you want to drive, whether you can take time off work. Some of us work for OnlyFans and can do whatever we want. Some people work a day job or work in a hospital and can't. So, I don't know. It's a very difficult situation that we are all actively trying to find a solution for.
Yeah, and I see it changing. In fact, I'm going to my first barbecue and mosh tomorrow over to a friend's house.
Yay.
A non-alcoholic party, which I'm looking forward to and stuff. So I can't wait for that. But you're right, with all the the puppy contests that are going on. We may have one day, like IML in Chicago, we may have a puppy event that all of us get together and travel to a city for, which will be a blast if that ever happens.
Exactly, and especially for Orlando, Florida has got so many gay hotspots between Miami, Fort Lauderdale, etc. There are a lot of people traveling to that state specifically already, and that's what made San Francisco and Chicago and New York flare up. That's what made Denver flare up. We have so much tourists. So many people are already coming to this state. What's one more trip, especially if it happens to fall close enough to Pride, Folsom, some other event that they would be there for anyway?
Oh yeah, and we've
just add 3 more days to my trip.
Well, we've got Gay Days at Disney coming up the first week of June.
Yep.
And this year there's so many puppy events that have popped up within that week of parties. And then, of course, the Orlando Pride Parade, which is the biggest parade in the state of Florida, coming up in October. The puppies, this was the first year they've marched in it, and we're planning another big march this year as well. So
good.
So things are happening. It'll get there.
Exactly.
It'll get there.
It's growing.
It's growing.
Pup is the new gay thing. Even RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, yes.
Is doing the puppy thing. So they have to. So, like, our time is coming. There will be more pup things to do than you could possibly wag your tail at.
Oh, agreed.
A decade of time.
Yes.
It's the thing.
And hopefully more puppy events. I mean, I've got so lucky to be able to interview Georgia Puppy 2022 and Germany Puppy 2022, which was pretty awesome because I know Germany has a huge puppy community because they're kind of tied
yeah,
to the
they're
leather
cute.
community.
Way ahead of us. Way, way.
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, way ahead of us.
But they can fuck in bars. They don't have like all the weird laws that we have and stuff.
Oh,
They have
I
a
know.
very different culture over there.
Yeah, yeah, and we've got some crazy laws. We got a stupid governor here in Florida, so.
Denver's right behind you.
So if some other pups would want to reach out to you both via social media, how might they do that?
So the best way for me is probably going to be Telegram, which is kind of been the thing. Um, I am Jace, JACE_EROS on Twitter. On Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, I am Jace Eros on almost every platform of media that I have available to me.
Okay.
So you'll see Jace Eros, which is my professional self, and Pup Cupid next to it, and that is me. Telegram is a fantastic way. Facebook for what limited friend requests I still have. Twitter, of course, but that's a shameless plug. But those will be the best ways.
Okay.
My Telegram, which is probably what I use most often, would be at Pup_Prometheus. And then my Twitter is at Dark Wolf Guy. Yes, it's exactly how it sounds. I'll change it eventually.
All right. Well, anything else that you two would want to share before we get off of here?
Honestly, I think we've covered everything that we really wanted to talk about.
Appreciate you letting me be long-winded.
Well, it has been an honor to get to talk to both of you, and I have to say,
It's been an absolute pleasure.
you both sitting there, you guys are such good-looking pops. I mean, I'd love to give you a nose bump to both of y'all, and everything. I love your I don't know if you call it a mannerism. Every now and then I see Pup Prometheus over there just shaking and stuff, and it just there we go. There's Pup Cupid doing it too. But I love
stop doing that at work. So
well, I love doing this, and I hope that pups keep reaching out to me wanting to be a guest on here because
we'll continue to point people in your direction. Anyone who's brave enough or interested to be to do the podcast, absolutely.
It was a dream of mine, and I mentioned it to my husband, who is Pup Smokey, and he said, "Why don't you just go with it?" And so I did.
Absolutely.
And now I think you guys are either episode 32 or 33 that I've now done. So it's grown substantially.
Yeah, I remember your initial post in the Plenty of Pups group looking for people, and we had that conversation.
Yes. Well, I just have to say to both of y'all, thank you guys. I appreciate giving me the time to sit here and let us talk. And hopefully we will talk some more down the road.
I look forward to it.
Sounds great.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
I will.